Namaste everyone. Thank you for joining in this video. So this video is about, you know, the behavior of Rahu in different signs of the zodiacs. Okay, I'm not speaking about Rahu in the houses. I've already done Rahu in the houses. And if you want to see how Rahu behaves in different houses, you can, of course, look at the previous videos on this playlist. Okay. So this is about how Rahu behaves in the, in the zodiacs. And Rahu, of course, represents your attitude towards breaking boundaries. Okay. And I always say this to my clients, to my students, that Rahu Ketu axis is the only problem that you need to solve in your life. Okay. All the other problems in your life are solvable except for Rahu and Ketu. All right. So in my previous video on on Rahu in different houses, you can see how Rahu behaves in the first house as opposed to how Rahu behaves in the fourth house and so on. And I got a few requests asking me to cover Rahu in the various signs of the zodiac. Okay, so here it is. But before we go into the meat of this video, kindly subscribe to the channel, share the content if you find it useful, and do reach out if you want a discussion or a consultation regarding your chart. Okay, so Rahu in Aries, right? So this position of the lunar node or Rahu indicates that the person is at a stage of primary knowledge of the world. Okay, and it is essential to develop qualities such as independence, courage, innovation, leadership, and also to make responsible choices very quickly. Okay, the main principle of life and the driving force of being such a person, that means for a person having Rahu in Aries, becomes his own will. And Rahu will always give that such a person a tendency to be impulsive and take risky actions. Okay, and one of the main areas of life is the realization of the potential of the individual through relationships. Okay, and it is very important. The lesson here is to learn to restrain yourself from extreme selfishness as well as superficial judgments. Okay, what happens for those who have Rahu in Taurus? So some Vedic texts are of the opinion that Rahu gets exalted in Taurus, and no matter whether it gets exalted or not, but Rahu is extremely strong in this sign. Okay, so this position means that a person subconsciously strives to gain stability and consistency on the material, mental as well as spiritual plane, because in a past life, that means which of course will indicate Ketu in Scorpio, you know such a person faced a lot of upheavals, changes, and transformations in past life, okay, which is of course indicated by Ketu in Scorpio for Rahu in Taurus. And it is very difficult for such a person to find harmony and balance in beliefs, and there is a strong desire for extremes. Okay, why? Because Rahu is the boundary breaker. Rahu does not feel boundaries. Okay, so such a person becomes either an inveterate materialist or goes deeply into religion and spirituality. Also, there is a deep rooted desire for physical beauty, art, sensory activities, luxury, possessions, stability, and consistency in life, and also social prestige. Okay, and it is very necessary for these people to think rationally but not to ignore the spiritual side as well, so that all aspects of life get developed harmoniously. Okay, now Rahu in Gemini, again, many traditional texts regard the sign of Gemini is the exaltation place for Rahu. Okay, but the location of Rahu in Gemini indicates an excess of optimism and unshakable confidence in oneself and in one's knowledge. Okay, and this position will produce writers, spiritual teachers, religious leaders, philosophers, educators, dictators, gamblers, politicians, gym gym trainers, of course, stockbrokers, brokers in real estate brokers, pioneers in different fields, philanthropists, journalists, and even athletes. Okay, and such a person would always be willing to share his or her knowledge that they have accumulated in the past incarnation. Okay, but then if you're sharing your knowledge, if you have Rahu in Gemini and you're sharing your knowledge, you must be conscious enough to put that knowledge first into practice in your life before sharing it with others. Okay, and there is also a necessity for you to develop the field of communication. Okay, not one-sided communication but both-sided communication, where you have the ability to not only listen to others but also make others listen to you. Okay, and Gemini, as we all know, is a sign of duality, and Rahu here will force the person to be flexible and loyal. Okay, and because if Rahu is located in Gemini, so in that case Ketu will be located in Sagittarius. So it becomes very important for the person to find harmony between the spiritual principle and material ambitions. Okay, and on the flip side, people with this position of Rahu in Gemini can change their beliefs several times in their lives. Okay, now Rahu in Cancer. So this position of Rahu in the horoscope, it indicates that in a past life a person was focused on a career, he or she was focused on gaining a stable social status and social recognition. Okay, because Ketu in Capricorn will indicate practicality, organizational skills, and the ability to take responsibility. Okay, such a person may be a bit conservative in his or her approach, and it is difficult for them to accept the new by discarding the old. Okay, these people can appear somewhat stern, overly suspicious and skeptical, and will have a tendency to hide their true emotions and feelings. Okay, but then it is the development of emotions and family relationships that will become the major karmic task for such a person. Okay, so this person will have a life which is filled with internal and external struggles, and through the comprehension and development of their inner world, they can find harmony. Okay, so if you have this placement of Rahu in Cancer, you need to find inner peace, accept your own emotional nature despite the flaws, develop gentleness and kindness. Okay, and you should also get rid of the habit of solving all problems by external means. Okay, the Rahu in Leo. So people having Rahu in the sign of Leo, they will be usually shy in childhood and do not, like to stand out from the crowd. But with age, they tend to become more self-centered. Okay, and for such people, life will require an active position and self-confidence. And the one who has Rahu in Leo, he or she needs to develop leadership qualities, take responsibility. Okay, it is very important not to lose the balance between personal desires and the ability to serve other people, which comes from, of course, Ketu in Aquarius. Okay, so leadership must be promoted, must be nurtured. And if you have displacement of Rahu in Leo, you may have to go through some very important transformations early in your life. Okay, and how do those transformations happen? Firstly, you will need to raise your authority in your own eyes. You have to overcome your insecurities and self-abasement. Okay, and secondly, you will need to learn how to use your sense of dignity and self-confidence in order to carry the high humanistic ideals of Aquarius into the world, because then you will be directing people to commit pious activities and self-development. Okay, so Rahu in Leo will give a very unique ability to inspire both self-respect as well as compassion for others. All right, now Rahu in Virgo. So this is what I consider Rahu's exaltation sign to be, Virgo. Okay, so Rahu in Virgo will encourage you to pay attention to all the details, but if it is afflicted, it can make you a nitpicker. Sorry, not nitpicture. And the balance is, of course, brought about by Ketu in Pisces, which allows you to see the big picture. And if you have such a placement, then you will have a great potential for personal growth. Okay, but then this growth will come through struggle, and it will proceed very slowly and painfully. Okay, and it is very important for you to develop in areas like health, healing, overcoming conflicts, cleanliness, attention to detail, in-depth analysis, discipline, diligence, service, and order in everything. Okay, so because Virgo is the sign of service, so Rahu in Virgo is the stage of service. Okay, it is very necessary for people having Rahu in Virgo to develop humility, patience, and to be industrious, organized and punctual. And it is also important not to hover in the clouds, but be practical and take a sober look at the world. Okay, and the life of such people is filled with sharp turns and unforeseen events, as I said, and these changes will take place both at an internal as well as at an external level. Okay, now Rahu in Libra. So such a person will be very market oriented, okay, very profit oriented, very business oriented, and they require increased attention to partnership. And because you require increased attention, you need to learn how to communicate, develop diplomacy and personal relationships, and you have to give more than you can take. Okay, and of course Ketu will be in Aries, and this will naturally promote independence, initiative, impulsiveness, and competitive spirit. Okay, so this position can make a person very socially oriented, and you need to develop as a team member as well. That means you need to work, you need to be able to work as a part of a team, not only as an individual. Okay, so while working in a team, you should not be aggressive and rush. And Rahu in Libra gives the ability to make informed decisions, taking into account all the pros and the cons. And such people, they usually try to have the best in life regarding everything and create added relationships with partners, which not only manifests in their personal lives but also in their business dealings. Okay, so Rahu in Rahu in Scorpio. So this means that the peaceful development of the soul is over, and now it is necessary to go through certain trials and difficulties. Okay, and if you have such a such a placement, then it means that your past life was stable from a material point of view, but in this life you will have to go through a lot of obstacles, a series of obstacles. Okay, and because of this position, Ketu will be in Taurus. That will give inclinations towards Venusian traits like aesthetic awareness and high equity. Okay, but although the first half of your life may be chaotic, the second half of life will be more successful as compared to the first half. Okay, now people having Rahu in Scorpio will seek renewal through the destruction of the old ways of life and attachments, and these people will not want to build their lives on the existing foundation of values that family and society offer him or her. And there would be a spirit of reformism, the desire for a deep study of one's psyche, an interest in occult knowledge, and also a forced struggle. Okay, so if you have Rahu in Scorpio, you have to remember that nothing will work for the first time, and your task is to find a balance between the material world and metaphysical self-knowledge. Okay. So Rahu in Sagittarius. Okay, so if Rahu goes into Sagittarius, then Ketu will be in Gemini. And this will indicate that a person is used to being superficial, and such a person knows a lot from a past life, but now needs to choose one area and delve into it. Okay, because that is necessary to be able to focus and concentrate. Okay, and for a person having such a position, it is vital to have a high purpose in life, to develop leadership qualities and to teach others by your own godly example. Okay, and you need to embark yourself on the mission of being a teacher or a mentor or ideologist. Okay, you'll have a certain sense of attraction or fondness towards politics and philosophy. But then, even if you enter into politics or even if you enter into the world of philosophy, it is important to avoid fanaticism and pride. Okay, and this fanaticism and pride, as I say, can be very dangerous and destructive in such a situation. Okay, and moreover, the passion for creating your own philosophy can lead you to deceive others. So it is important to to study the scriptures and cultivate humanity. Okay, so Rahu in Sagittarius promotes the awakening of deep devotion to that which is connected with the house occupied by this Chaya Graha. So say if Rahu is in the fourth house and the fourth house is ruled by Sagittarius, then a person can develop a strong attachment to his mother. Okay, similarly, if Rahu is in the ninth house and it is ruled by Sagittarius, then the person can have a lot of attachment towards his father or teacher. Similarly, if Rahu is in the 10th house and it is ruled by Sagittarius, then there will be a strong devotion to his or her work. And if Rahu is in the 12th house, which is ruled by Sagittarius, then the devotion will be directed towards Ishta Devata. Okay, so for the 10th house and the 12th house, they indicate the direction of devotion, but for the 10th house, the direction will be devoted towards work. Sorry, the devotion will be directed towards work, and in the 12th house, the devotion will be directed towards worshipping the Ishta Devata, which is, of course, the deity leading to liberation. Okay. Now, Rahu in Capricorn. So, this sign of Capricorn is most oriented towards external activity and career. And Rahu coming into this sign will force a native to go beyond his or her inner circle, home and family, and develop worldly affairs. Okay, so if someone is born in this position, then he or she will have necessarily tangible as well as clear goals. Okay, and but before having goals, you need to understand your desires and aspirations very well. And the person having Rahu in Capricorn will indicate someone with having a great career and lots of opportunities. But then, for Rahu and Capricorn, Ketu will be located in the sign of Cancer. So it is very important to, to take those opportunities harmoniously without, without harming anyone. Okay. So such a person must first deal with his or her emotions and find harmony in relationships. And it's very important to maintain peace and calm in the house of a person having this Rahu in Capricorn, because if the house is not peaceful, then in external affairs, such a person can manifest himself very harshly as well as arbitrarily. Okay. And if you are interacting with such a person having Rahu and Capricorn, then you must avoid, fanaticism in religion, political, as well as views regarding life. Okay. So people having Rahu and Capricorn usually find social security or start considering themselves as a part of society only in the second part of life. Okay. And success in business never comes to them easily or quickly. Okay. Because Capricorn is a slow sign that requires long and hard work to achieve its results. Okay. But then, if you are achieving success through the sign of Capricorn, it means that the success achieved will be long as well as sustainable. Okay. Now Rahu in Aquarius, so this indicates the path of getting rid of the ego, the path of selfless service. And because Ketu will go into Leo, then it will indicate an individual who is used to being an important person, being the center of attention, who prefers that his or her opinion is always considered. Okay. And if you have this placement, then you need to develop humility and unconditional love to see the manifestation of divinity in everything. Okay. Now, the sign of Aquarius means unusual views, original thoughts and discoveries. And people with this position of Rahu, they tend to bring innovative ideas to the world, establish new teachings and philosophical schools. Okay. And for these people, a very important karmic task is the ability to find points of contact between their philosophical discoveries and authoritative Vedic knowledge, so as to not break away too much from reality while creating your own concepts. Okay. Now, this is considered to be the age of Aquarius. Okay. That means we are living in a time when, having reached the tangible boundaries of possible development, the egocentric materialistic philosophy of domination, which is indicated by Ketu, has become obsolete, and now humanity has again turned its gaze to the eternal spiritual values. Okay. But at the same time, these people will seek to adapt themselves to Western civilizations, creating completely new worldviews, concepts which are sometimes whimsical, but are always aimed at finding harmony with the universe and God. Okay. Now, Rahu in Pisces. So, for a person with Rahu in Pisces, it is important to find unity with God, unity with the divine, and a connection with the cosmic consciousness of Bhagavan or Brahman. Okay. So, for Rahu coming into Pisces, Ketu will be in Virgo, which means attachment to cleanliness and order, attention to detail and striving for perfection. But then excessive pragmatism and logic will hinder the development of the soul. Okay. So, such people need to learn to live with more in their heart intuition, so as to discover the world of spirituality. Okay. Now people having Rahu and Pisces, they are highly dependent on the environment, and they'll absorb the energy of the people around them. Okay. So it is very important to keep track of who these people communicate with, because such people easily reach a high level of concentration in meditation and gain access to the highest energy levels of the universe. Okay. But then they also often tend to become addicted to alcohol and other drugs, delving into their fantasy world and mistaking it for a spiritual path. Okay. So if you have Rahu in Pisces, then you have to aim towards getting spiritual enlightenment and also to get rid of your harmful attachments. Okay. And only after that, you will be able to take the role of a teacher or healer in order to become a conductor of divine energies into the world. Okay. So this is about Rahu in all the different houses of the zodiac. Do let me know if you agree with my analysis. And as I said, share this video with your friends and family if you find it useful. Okay. So that's it from me in this video. I'll see you soon in yet another video. Namaste. Om Gurave Namaha.